While some people may picture crude, unimaginative vandalism when they hear the word graffiti, the truth is that in recent years, the art form has been elevated to incredible standards by truly gifted artists the world over. With artworks that reach into the third dimension through optical illusions or cleverly incorporating the surrounding environment, every street corner is a double take waiting to happen. From giant lifelike insects to mind-bending building takeovers, here's some genius graffiti art that will make you smile. Imagine coming across this wacky Inception-like building, which exists on a street corner in Mannheim, Germany. While it may look like an architect's nightmare, it's actually an acrylic mural by Italian street artist Pita. From some angles, the sense of depth is slightly lost, but head-on, we get a full view of an impossible-seeming dreamscape. And all thanks to a standard city wall being beaten white and blue with brushes and rollers. As with Pita's other works, each of which takes about 20 days to finish, the color palette helps to set the illusion against the surrounding world, making sure any passers-by can't help being mesmerized. Arguably even more mind-bending is this utterly crazy artwork produced by Pant1, aka Felipe Pantone, who leaves cities feeling like the inside of a sentient VCR player from the 80s. Just looking at the walls blessed by this artist, who blends the appearance of digital glitches into the urban environment, will get you smelling colors and seeing sound. His vividly colored work can be found in cities around the world, from Los Angeles to Belgium, where his artistic mission is for spray paint to scream louder than visual pollution in cities. For that Belgium piece I mentioned, it took him 3 days to spray one of the world's largest QR codes back in 2017 in the city of Hasselt. The best part? You can actually scan the wall, and it'll take you to a website that tells you how many people have scanned it and where they hail from. Who knew graffiti could be so high-tech? While helium balloons might be best known for giving people a squeaky voice, those party editions might just come second to the 3D-looking balloon art produced by graffiti artist named Huge. The Swedish artist wanted to come up with a graffiti style that would be completely new to the scene. So he opted to spray paint balloons that trick the eye into thinking you can reach out and grab them. Most of his work sits in Stockholm, where his giant balloons hover at odd angles to spell out Huge's artist name. Close-ups of Huge's work reveal the unbelievably convincing photorealistic brushes of paint that incorporate the environment around the wall, creating metallic reflections that, honestly, could have had me fooled. With Huge's balloons bringing the coolest surprise to anyone who stumbles upon them, thankfully, no party popper with a needle can pop the illusion. On to another example of real-life geniuses who create their own graffitied 3D universe now, we have Izzy Izvin, a street artist from Moldova who makes the walls of her home city Chisinau breathe with bizarre scenes from her imagination. Everything around Izvin inspires her to turn gray streets into mind-bending wonderlands that seem to plummet into the great unknown. Take this intimidating wall art of a vortex sucking in gumballs into its gaping maw, or this absolutely colossal work that comes alive in her Blue Starburst series. Is anyone else weirdly tempted to try jumping through that mysterious hole to see what's on the other side? Graffiti with the illusion of depth isn't just limited to holes in walls. Spanish artist Asif's on-off mural proves that graffiti can be just as convincing when it appears to pop out of a wall. While the piece is certainly striking by itself, it actually comes charged with a solid message too, as has become expected of the artist, who's been producing cleverly commentative work while keeping his real identity a mystery for more than 20 years. By turning the urban space into a light switch, Asif points out that the Polish apartment complex building attached is always on, bringing to light an issue we often forget: the overuse of energy and wastage more generally in society. On the brighter side, walking that road at night without streetlights shouldn't be a problem if the wall's always switched on. We've all had to scratch our signature to sign pieces of paper enough times. But we would be a lot more exciting if we all signed our names the way Portuguese graffiti artist Vile does. Vile trades paper for cement blocks and a handy pen for his token laser-accurate spray paint. And I guess you could say it's his signature move to turn any wall transparent. In astounding works like these, Vile's artist name looks like a hole cut into the side of the wall, and the colors he uses are perfectly matched to the abandoned space within, carrying out demolitions not by sledgehammer, but by sheer skill. He makes it pretty hard to resist snapping a photo of each one of his works, especially with works like this, where he provides an all-paint digital screen for you to peek through the wall to the other side. And while Vile spends his time artificially removing portions of the urban landscape, New York graffiti legend Revs likes to add a thing or two. He's known for welding steel sculptures onto walls and railings around New York that, to the untrained eye, can easily blend into the background, mistaken for rusted beams or chains rattling against city traffic. It's pretty crazy to imagine how Revs manages to weld sculptures like that without being spotted, especially considering the complex shapes he uses and the always flawless execution. I guess his sculptures aren't the only things made of steel. From artists with a thing for metal, let's move on to one with a clear affection for the natural world. Birds, specifically. Toronto-based artist Birdo has crafted an eccentric persona as colorful as his street paintings. He's known for creating large wall murals that splash onto average-looking brickwork and back alleys. One of his finest pieces is this large snake dressed in bold colors that creeps up on viewers with a textural treat for the eyes, complete with a strangely real-looking drop shadow trailing the floor that leaves the impossible beast genuinely looking like it's gliding through the air. Birdo trails Canada, the US, and Central America, leaving a peculiar trail of large hybrid animals in the best abstract colors and shapes, all while wearing an oversized animal helmet. It might be true that you are what you eat, but for Birdo, he is what he paints. Sticking to the theme of wildlife now, can you imagine how horrifying it'd be to encounter a giant creepy crawly like this while exploring an already creepy abandoned building? That beast, and many others like it, are the work of street artist Sergio Odyth, who spray paints larger-than-life insects on street walls, back alleys, and abandoned building quarters in Portugal. While his pieces are at maximum scariness when viewed from the right angle, whatever angle you view them at, his super realistic shadows and details, the result of meticulous planning, are still so freakishly realistic it's hard to believe it's just a painted illusion. And honestly, I'm only tough enough to stomach it behind the safety of a screen. Someone else who works similar magic on abandoned spots is self-taught French artist Chaf Honor, who specializes in giant reptiles and macabre set pieces rather than bugs. It's only when you look at the spaces before he got creative that you can fully appreciate the technical genius needed to pull off each transformation. These crazy realistic before and afters prove we can trust Chaf to never leave a wall or AC unit plain without offering it a free makeover. Naturally, he always chooses to glow up the less photogenic spots, and many of Chaf's works are painted on 90-degree corners thanks to his interest in making perspective and shading come together to create an effect he calls somber 3D. Spooky stuff. Now, after beholding Chaf Honor's somewhat intimidating pieces, let's take a moment to enjoy an infestation of a sweeter kind: gummy bears. Well-known Dutch artist Leon Kier brought his favorite candy to the Malta Street Art Festival back in 2015. If you look at the street from above, you can join this family of gummy bears in giving your condolences to the loss of their fallen green friend. They still look pretty tasty despite the occasion, with crisp shading and highlights on their jelly bodies. That being said, when you're standing next to them, they're not so good at standing upright. While we're talking about food, let's take a nibble of this creative artwork by Vanessa Hitzfeld in Dusseldorf, Germany. Here we see an apple biting back in this tasty optical illusion, following the trend of most of her 3D street paintings, which are etched onto floors, walls, and ceilings to get people to interact as part of the picture. Whoop, better watch your step there, lady. While the participants in Vanessa Hitzfeld's work seem ever at risk of taking a plunge, it seems poor SpongeBob SquarePants has already hit rock bottom. Painted on an electrical box by Italian street artist Pau, complete with a beggar's sign and a collection hat, old Bobby clearly didn't sell enough of those delicious Krabby Patties during the pandemic. But a crestfallen SpongeBob is only one of the ingenious ways graffiti artists have utilized the industrial features of urban environments. If you want to buy some time, for example, you can stop in with this shady salesman, created by street artist Tom Bob, who sees something like an electricity station as a blank canvas. Wall protecting bollards outside garages like this, meanwhile, give way to creative characters like this unfortunate gnome, and form a very impressive city-spanning collection alongside ant-eating water pipes, cheekily amphibious boat mooring points, crabby benches, and drain covers that tell fun, if slightly unnerving, stories. Tom really doesn't leave anything ordinary untouched, and his little wonders hidden around New York, Massachusetts, and California are all the stuff of childhood imagination. Like these hilarious LA gym rats that can't get enough of hitting the gas meter. He's even transformed this concrete slab to show the unfortunate encounter between a block of cheese and an unlucky Mickey Mouse. These cartoons can't seem to catch a break, but luckily other artists give their cartoon subjects a little more control over their environment, like this amazing piece by French artist Efix, which brings Lisa Simpson's saxophone playing into the third dimension with the help of a gold spray-painted pipe so realistically you can almost hear it. Even more impactful is this 8-bit style action shot of Superman by Johan Karlgren, ingeniously utilizing the negative space of an old, battered piece of iron railing. Even when constructed from melted-together perler beads, Clark Kent is clearly unstoppable. Outside of cartoon stylings now, we have Norway-born stencil artist Anders Genestad, also known as Stroke, with his multi-layer photorealistic work. Stroke breathes strangeness into pedestrian life in his hometown of Oslo by creating breathtaking pieces like these three-dimensional men scaling a yellow block wall with the energy of parkour runners. Of course, it's anyone's guess as to whether the men are climbing or falling. Let me know your best theory in the comments below. Now onto the most risque, elusive, and darkly witty graffiti geniuses of all, Banksy specifically, with the works produced during his New York residency, titled Better Out Than In 2013. He basically spent a month in New York and gave himself the fun task of keeping New Yorkers on their toes by spraying the streets with fresh graffiti every day. Some days had anything as wild as a truck stuffed with squealing stuffed animals, and as witty as pieces like in his signature stencil style, featuring a dog urinating on an oddly grateful fire hydrant on 6th Avenue, which responds with, "You complete me." And then we have a kid with a sledgehammer transforming an alarm bell into a carnival game, and a couple of lads up to some Banksy-approved mischief. Good on those kids for reaching their spray paint-covered dreams. Now don't disturb this reclining lady making herself at home on a bed of grass in Uzes, France. Or is that just all her hair? Street artist Vinny is responsible for this leafy masterpiece, and is known for incorporating elements of the natural world into her artwork, usually in the form of her iconic afro-rocking character. The texture of her character's natural hair changes throughout her work, from small colorful tags painted using polychromatic paints to puffed up ivy for a fro. I just hope that last one doesn't give her a rash. It's a time-tested theory that with enough coffee, anything is possible. So I can't help wondering how much of the hot brown stuff was required to bring this 200-foot-high, paint-rolled mural of a man taking a coffee break in a garbage can to life. Painted by street art duo Senier and Betts, collectively known as Etam Crew, it certainly captures that feeling of slightly losing control after one too many espressos. The colossal, thick-mustachioed caffeine fan savors his morning brew while overlooking a building complex on the streets of Rome. And if rental prices in big cities like London, New York, and indeed Rome are anything to go by, this guy's trash can abode probably costs more per month than a college education. As we've seen, realistic-looking street art can often be the most fascinating. It's no wonder people stop and stare at Eduardo Rolero's lifelike chalk murals across the globe. But while realistic in their sense of depth and motion, it's Eduardo's ingenious children book illustration style that gives his works character. The Argentinian artist travels the world to achieve the magic of the third dimension, through the spirit of whimsical writers like Lewis Carroll, bringing to life some of the strangest children's tales. He began his painting career in Rome in the 90s and has since created countless hilarious street art pieces that showcase some of the weirdest half-concealed giants and edible bath spots like this that leave viewers feeling a very strange mixture of nauseous and hungry. Soup, anyone?
Who wants chowder?
In case you haven't already been convinced that street art can reach the same heights of quality of the finest, regular art, check out this incredible mural painted in Mexico in 2016. Puzzlingly named Petrified Science or Archaeological Recursion, this piece by Interezny Kazki takes inspiration from surrealist artists like Salvador Dali to create something that, if you stumbled across it during a night on the town, you'd probably assume someone had spiked your drink. And with that in mind, you'd be forgiven for trying to nibble those candy floss clouds. Back to the USA now, where its cities have no shortage of works to admire. Just don't fall too far in love with this hole in the ground by 3D street artist Eric Maruskak. Otherwise, you might lose your balance. It only took him 3 hours to use forced perspective to create this totally lifelike illusion at an art walk in upstate New York. All the world's a stage for chalk and pigment pavement canvases, and Russian-born artist Nikolaj Arndt is just as skilled as his American counterpart. In Germany, where he lives, it's pretty common for there to be art festivals dedicated to drawings on the pavement. Sometimes Nikolaj's pictures are kept alive with a special varnish to keep the image breathing for as long as possible, which is a treat for everyone. Other times, the audience can witness the loss of great art on their doorstep after a serious-faced team comes in with brushes and water at the end of the festival, which I suppose makes getting a chance to view the art while it's still there all the more special. Thanks to photography, though, we can stare as long as we like at this razor-toothed, asphalt-eating shark that took Nikolaj just 8 hours to make. Killer. Another artist who puts painting into perspective is Paris-based master illusion painter Felice Verini, who's known for transforming the city into a canvas of bright concentric circles and bullseye boards. He usually gets a team together, sometimes around 15 people, to apply paint and adhesive tape onto each outdoor piece. They come in all sizes from single-wall smallish to hard-to-miss huge, and all can be seen from one single vantage point in the existing urban space, which means passing by at the right angle can leave any unsuspecting explorer rubbing their eyes in disbelief at the unbelievable patterns that suddenly emerge. Pretty trippy, right? Living in a city, it can be a little frustrating having tall buildings blocking your views of the heavens. British artist Zenz seems to be aware of this and spray-painted a secret garden in 2020 to blend in with Oslo's oldest lush community gardens, providing a peek at a painted sky on a sunny day. It's like taking a look back in time before the city and all its buildings ever existed. And you know what? I'd say that deep blue sky is even better than the real thing. Did you know the term graffiti comes from the Italian word graffiato, meaning scratched, and originally referred to inscriptions and artworks left by engravings on walls of ancient ruins from centuries ago? Well, urban artist Wild Drawing has a slightly more modern take on the idea, but still carries out his work in some of the oldest cities in the world, including Athens, Greece. He's been playing with perspective and angles using oil paint since the early 2000s to produce incredible new images, mixing styles and colors and painting them onto old, unassuming architecture across Europe and Asia. On a visit to the UK, it took him just 10 days of using a mini roller on a 13-foot-long pole to create this masterpiece on the back of a hotel wall for Cheltenham Paint Festival. Looks like the guy's holding the box to Wild Drawing, or WD's true identity, which appears to be an octopus-like creature. It seems Cthulhu has a gift for graffiti. If Rapunzel has taught us anything, it's that a quick getaway from a tower window down a rope of hair is always an option. A French street artist known as Seth took a brush to a unique take on this age-old escape mission for the 2015 Icastica Contemporary Art Festival in Arezzo, Italy. Throwing a rainbow chain cloth down from a balcony, it looks like the child's painted head might just be leaking some colorful thoughts and welcoming inside anyone brave enough to climb up. And in this similar work by Seth in Paris, it seems like the same child's colorful imagination has gotten even stronger, spreading out in concentric rings over an entire apartment block. Looking at Seth's other work, most of which features kids with their backs to the viewer, I can't help wondering, was he absent for the art school lesson where they taught everyone to draw faces? Dr. Seuss tells us, "The more we read, the more we'll know, and the more we learn, the more places we'll go." You'll miss the best things if you keep your eyes, or your best sellers, shut. And if reading a lot is a good thing, then surely reading the largest books possible at the world's largest open library is a no-brainer, right? Well, unfortunately, those giant books aren't quite as real as they seem. It's actually a spectacular work of forced perspective art by Jan is de Man. When commissioned by a bookish building owner to paint a literary mural, de Man made sure to feature not only the residents' favorite titles, but his neighbors too. In this street corner in Utrecht in the Netherlands, we have great titles picked out personally by people of 8 languages, different ages, and cultures. I wonder what the late fees are like on a book that's 8 feet tall. On the topic of XXL artistry, Australian artist Guido van Helten might just be the king of all things big and painted. He's known for creating massive, genius-level street art on walls and silos across Australia. But his biggest piece was damn impressive. And I mean that literally. The Wellington Dam, the largest in southwest Australia, provided the canvas for a colossal mural he produced in 2020. The piece covered 86,000 square feet and was inspired by local stories and photos. Van Helten traveled to the nearest town to the dam and got to know the people before beginning his project. The result is a series of different scenes from the community's life and history, including pictures of children playing in the dam water alongside snapshots of local workmen and Aboriginal folks alike, immortalized in enormous height. Next to his already impressive street art, this 111-foot-high, 1,200-foot-wide masterpiece easily wins out. I don't even think I could write my own name that large. Not that correctly spelling Mr. Bartholomew Egbert Amazed is an easy task. Now, which of these incredible graffiti artworks did you find most impressive? Do you have any favorite artists of your own? Well, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.